You know, Jay, we're a very large company that manufactures fantastically detailed miniatures.
Okay.
And we sell those at a profit.
That sounds reasonable, actually.
Hey guys, welcome to the Lords of War Games and Hobbies video.
Okay.
I'm Chris, this is Jay, and today we're going to talk a little bit about, more like a fun little topic of like why does Games Workshop get so much hate online? Yeah, and you know,
So much hate.
I guess I'll kick it off.
I have a feeling this video is going to generate a lot of negative comments, and then we're going to have to make a video about the negative comments.
Those are my favorite videos.
Yeah,
the follow-up videos.
I think we're setting up for one of those. Sorry, that's all right.
Well, yeah, of course, and you know, as if this is your first time tuning into one of these videos with us, obviously our world is biased by the fact that we work and, you know, make a living off of selling miniatures and paints and stuff like that, right? So
Games Workshop is our largest revenue source.
It is the reason we keep the doors open. So that's obviously you know, a good little thing to get out of the way originally. Jay and I also worked for the company for a number of years, and both, I think, would say we had positive experiences overall.
Yeah,
yeah,
it was interesting.
Interesting. Yeah, so that's our bias we're coming forward with. But ultimately, point number one I'll make is when you're the biggest, you get the most flack.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, every decision you make, every product you release, even the tiniest small wording choice you make on a social media post will get scrutinized by everyone, taken out of context. Obviously, they've had a few more recently, and like negative things come up. The first one that comes to mind is the culling of various Age of Sigmar models, specifically a large section of Stormcast Eternals. Things like that hasn't helped.
And you can go back and watch our video on that. That was one of our videos that actually led to a follow-up video.
Oh yeah, I did. Yeah.
And I actually read a list off of all the cullings they've done over the like 30 years. Maybe only, you know, glancing on them, but
yeah,
it's something they've been doing in their entire history.
Yes. Yeah. So I think what's happened is, so you gotta look at, like, everything's cyclical. So everything's like a big sine wave, right? So we had when the store was new in the 2015 to 2020 era. It was like Games Workshop had the Midas touch. Everything they touched was gold and amazing. They were exiting from a dark period where it was like stagnant and blah. So they were, you know, they were releasing things like Eldar Harlequins and Aethed 40K and opening up their social media presence, and everyone was just Necromunda relaunched and all these amazing, incredible things, and people were just like, I love to just take all my money, this company's the greatest, I love them, they could do no wrong. And now post-pandemic, you know, at least in the Western world, everything's very squeezed. So money's tighter, people have kind of been eating from the Games Workshop trough and the buffet, and they're like full and bloated now, and there's just no room or I guess patience for some things now.
Yeah.
I think there's another factor, which is there's a massive influx of new people in general, because the company has churned over some old people.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Added new people. There's more people thinking, chewing on and playing in whatever 40K than ever. So these people are not used to some of these trends, and I think, and they're probably also a younger population, maybe they're in their 20s. They're used to, like, very quickly and easily yelling and being upset about, not yelling, but voicing their distaste for something online very loudly right away.
I always preface that sort of thing with, like, the thing that's unique about, like, this hobby and getting upset is that, like, the passion dial is, like, cranked all the way up, because like, this is literally, it's not like getting upset about your job. It's like, this is something that you, like, spend your luxury money on, your free time, like, investing your heart and soul into, because that's what you do hobbies, like, you love them, right?
Yeah.
And when people have a bad experience or feel like they've been wronged, that passion, like, translates into the rage that, like, gets put back out into the world.
Yeah,
whatever, right?
It's very similar. I know we use the video game parallel a lot, but yeah, when a video game has something, it's, you know, they sell their game for $80 and it's just a flop. Maybe it's buggy or unfinished, or the developers made a mistake with something. You know, hundreds of thousands of these players will just review bomb it and do all these things, and they've been trying to apply the same thing to the Games Workshop decisions and things, and it's a little unique and different because unlike the video game,
there's no levers to pull on.
There's not really. Games Workshop can't very easily do what you think they want to do, and I'll give them some credit. Sometimes they're able to withstand some of this better than others because they can just kind of like let it, fade or whatever. But anyway,
and I'll make another point to being the big boys or whatever, because we talked a lot about that. Make a little sports analogy here. It's like, why do people hate the Yankees?
Yeah.
The Yankees are hated because they're the biggest franchise and they win a lot.
And they've been, well, not in the last decade.
Not in the last decade, but they have a good history of that. And they, it's not like the Oakland A's get the same amount of hate.
No,
people don't even talk about the Oakland A's.
When you're not as big or important, you just kind of get forgotten, and no one really, if you the Oakland A's, it's a team that hasn't won anything very long time, not even close.
And one thing that's really interesting about the recent couple years or even year is Warhammer's gotten so big with all of its extra IP as this company turns almost from just a hobby business to a brand that's moving into movies and TV shows with Amazon, and the amount of video games they put out. Space Marine 2 is going to come out in the fall, and it's going to be the AAA title of the fall. And that's not just for fans. That's people are going to buy that because it's going to be a great game. It's transcended just people that paint miniatures now, the book series and stuff. It garners attention outside of this bubble we're in. And I saw that with the when these little stories get picked up about the Custodes book and stuff like that.
Right.
It moves into these because Warhammer's so big now. It actually hits into those areas now, and it's crazy to see.
Yeah, you get a right wing guy losing his mind about they're even Warhammer's gone woke and they're trying to use it in their own little little diatribe about society or something.
Of course,
they're like, dude, this is no one knows what the hell you're talking about. The average person, in their own little constituency, is
they're like, Warhammer.
What's a Custodes or whatever?
Custodes.
And why does it matter? Yeah, but it is amazing that something like that, especially it's a little footnote in a fictional universe.
So now you have the added people coming on and bringing the hate in from the outside that don't even participate at all in the hobby, which is kind of interesting.
They shouldn't have any voice in this.
So it's kind of fascinating how being so big, you just almost like a magnet for positivity and negativity, right? Just by existing almost.
Yeah. It is kind of crazy. But it's just never. It's always been like that. But the degree of it has definitely magnified, and it was just a little slower before the internet was really accessible.
Yeah, the hate that I used to feel back in the day when we were running the shops and stuff for GW was more on the lines of oh, I don't like that the staff talk to me. I don't like going to a Warhammer store because the staff talk to me.
They're gonna try and sell me something.
They're gonna try and sell me. That was the hate I used to hear about with games. And of course, the biggest one that has literally been the same thing since I was 11.
Yeah, right.
The prices are too high.
Right, the high price. The price has always been high. That's never changed. And something about their rules with the codex being when are they going to get to it, or when they get to it they ruined it or something because they changed something.
The cries for balance.
The balance. Yeah.
Well, I hope you're happy now because literally this is a little bit of a tangent here, but I'm pointing at the camera. I hope you're happy now because when they were promoting Age of Sigmar 4th edition, one of their little trailer demos, they literally used the words balanced in the thing, balance. And I was I threw my pen in the back. I was like, "Are you kidding me?" Yeah. So people almost careful what you wish for, right? I don't see chess sets selling Warhammer kits, so there's your balanced game for you.
No, I mean it had a bump recently, but it's not going to be the same. Yeah.
No. Those people that bought them went home and played it a couple times and were like, "This is a very hard game,"
or just not that exciting.
Or that too. Right?
I mean, anyway, I'm not a chess hater. I'm just I can.
The average person. I suck at chess.
Yeah, the average person will be like, "What? Why?" Yeah, the hate now is sometimes it is definitely hyperbolic. I do think generally that see the problem with the company. I don't know if it's a problem with the company, but the way it is structured today is you definitely have different wings of the company that like it's not in 10, 15, 20 years ago or whatever it was like a smaller cadre of people making basically all the decisions. You had like some accountants and the CEO, but like you had game designers really closely tied to the, you know, you had some model makers, game designers, and they just kind of like made it work. And their objective was to make it fun and kooky and all this stuff. And you know, they had goals and they had projects in mind, but I don't think it was quite as you know, now you have definitely a way more structured like and larger finance team. Yeah. That is looking at it purely like from an algorithmic point of view, and we got to slot in these things at this time of the year, and blah blah blah. And then you have like it's disconnected from the model makers, and then everything's just all three of, and then the other guys are the game designers. Everything's disconnected, and then they have to like all independently like do their thing and then slam it together. Yeah. And it seems like the finance people have some of the either equal or more power now, so you're getting some of these decisions that make us all scratch our heads a little bit.
Yeah, they've morphed from like a very like quite frankly like privately owned company that like they could just do the things they wanted to do. Yes. Weren't super concerned with the state of things so long as that they weren't closing down or you know, and Kirby took the company from that and then basically went public and turned it into like a modern corporation. Yeah. And I think that's a great point that you made. I think that's where a lot of people feel wrong about it in a way, because it's like it's this thing that's supposed to be pure and this like great hobby, and it's supposed to have soul. Yeah. But like all things in the world now, it's hyper profitized, and it exists to turn a profit every year, right?
Yeah, I mean, so like again, the other side of this coin or whatever that you have to appreciate is like, love it or hate it, the way the company's run now or has been run for the last little while is like very stable. Like they are withstanding whatever gets thrown at, economic problems, pandemic problems, logistical problems. I think if Games Workshop was run the way it was run, the way we all loved how it was run, it may not have survived some of these things. It may have died ages ago.
Well, War Machine was run that way. Or not to slam on those people more, but War Machine was a privately owned company.
Easy, though. Yeah.
Jay, people think you hate them or whatever.
You know.
Oh my gosh. No, but like, you know, having a one person or a very small group of people making all the decisions that they want to make or whatever, and we see how those things play out, right? So
it's just anything. Whether if you're ever like a project manager or anything in your job, or if you ever tried to organize anything in your life, you know that like, you know, there's a certain level where if you have to organize something for 5 or 10 or maybe 20 people, you could like one person can kind of, it'll be busy, but they can do it fine, right? But then once you get to 100 or 1,000 or whatever, like now you need teams of people, and things have to be way more organized, and you have to be like way more controlled with the money and how do you allocate it and how you're going to recoup it. Like things just start to like exponentially grow, and it has to be way more proper. And so you look at like whatever they have, 1,500 staff and 500 stores or more and several warehouses and all these logistics, like they have to have things in a cold number sense sorted out. And I'm sorry if it like makes, you know, if it means eliminating a whole swath of Stormcast because it just makes the money doesn't make sense anymore. Like that's something they have to do, because they're like, if we don't, we're not they're not willing to take a certain loss because the damage is real, right? Like,
well, you know, I mean, to some extent, how many stores do you want to see closed because of the bad decisions like that, right? Yeah, like those people, like whether you like the Warhammer stores or not, those are people that are feeding their families and like, you know, so
I mean I mean, usually, I think, depending on who's running them, but I think generally most people have positive experiences with their Warhammer stores. You know, they're usually structured, they're run proper. You know, again, back to Chris and I's era of working in stores, and especially like my early days when it was like less structured. Like, man, you got some rough, you know, you got some random combos of staff. Everything was kind of willy-nilly. The structure wasn't good, and so your experience could vary. You could have a store near you that just the staff made it miserable for you because they weren't trained well, or they were frankly a-holes or whatever, and now it's a little more proper. There's a little more oversight on that regard. So anyway, it's so what, do you hate Games Workshop? And why?
Well, they clicked on this video.
Yeah, that's true. You know? That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, I think like, you know, let us know what your feelings are. Why do you think GW gets the hate that they get? If there's anything beyond what we've said here, Obviously, like, it's easy to point to one decision and be like, that was why, that little thing.
Sure.
And I think, you know, you wouldn't be wrong, because, like, these companies, like, they put out, like, 5 Warhammer articles a day.
Yeah.
They put out multiple kits a week. There's a ton of these little instances and interactions, and they have hundreds of stores across the world. Like, there's lots of opportunities for things to happen and go wrong.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, when
And
you're
lots
that
of people
big,
get mad at.
and reasons for people to be mad, right?
Yeah.
And I think, like, just from my own experience, like, it doesn't take much sometimes for someone to go like crazy and then go online and try to burn it all down, right? So
yeah. And then if you're a retailer, then, you know, you probably have a few more reasons to be upset at them. But
Yeah.
I would say on that end, there is still there's work for them to do to make things a little better. But, you know, most of the time things do arrive on time. And,
yeah, when you grade it, I always go back to this. When you grade them against other people you have to deal with as a retailer, they're still great.
They're great.
They're still great. Yeah.
We have our moments,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's only tough because things are very competitive right now in general. So yeah, missing out on something by even a day is painful. But
Yeah.
you know, most of the time they get it right. So
Yeah.
and if they get it wrong, they usually fix it somehow. So it's, again, that's not the case with everyone. A lot of times it's like, oh well, oops.
Yeah. Exactly.
You're
Right.
like, oh, okay.
Or no response at all.
Or nothing at all. Yeah.
Well, if you like these sorts of videos, we put out a few of these a week, so give us a sub. And if you like them a lot, you can check out our Patreon, or you can check out lordsofwargames.com if you're in Canada, and give us some support. We really appreciate it. And thanks for watching. Take care.
Thanks. Bye.